The whole restaurant went silent when the fifth shot cracked through crystal. The air smelled like gunpowder, truffle butter, and something metallic that didn't belong in a dining room. Maya Reed was on the floor, draped over Caleb Voss, New York's richest billionaire, her apron going dark with blood and lobster bisque, her fingers still gripping the edge of his suit like she could keep him alive by force. Rich men don't kneel for waitresses. Everyone expected Voss to step back, call her collateral, and keep breathing. Everyone expected him to punish the staff, the manager, the universe, anything but the man who just pulled the trigger. But what he did next made her the heir to his empire before the sirens even reached the curb. Stay until the end. If you want more stories like this, hit like and comment what city you're watching from. New York didn't care that Maya was running on fumes. Le Ciel was all low lamps and expensive quiet. The kind of room where a fork hitting porcelain sounded like thunder. Maya moved between tables with a fixed smile, pretending her legs didn't shake. Her phone was in her locker, with 3 missed calls from her brother's clinic. She couldn't answer. She needed this shift. Grant, the floor manager, pointed at the back glass room. Private dining. No mistakes. Maya lifted a tray. 2 bowls of lobster bisque, 1 bottle of burgundy. She stepped toward the velvet curtain. Then the room's temperature seemed to drop. The front doors opened. Conversations thinned. Men in tailored suits entered first, scanning corners. And behind them came Caleb Voss, moving like the city belonged to him. Slate grey suit, no tie. A watch that didn't flash because it didn't need to. He didn't look around. The room looked at him. Voss slid into the private room without waiting. 2 older men followed. A guard closed the door. Grant mouthed, "Smile." Maya pushed through the curtain. Sound died in there. Voss was staring at a tablet, red numbers sliding down. Maya leaned in to set the first bowl. Then someone slammed into her from behind. The tray lurched. Bisque surged over the rim and hit Caleb Voss square in the chest, bright orange against slate grey. It ran down his cuff in slow lines. Maya froze. Silence. The kind that makes your skin buzz. Grant went pale outside the curtain. Maya saw her life collapse in 1 second. Fired, evicted, her brother back in the ER. Caleb Voss looked down at the soup, then up at her. Dark eyes. Flat. "Name?" he said. "Maya," she whispered. "Maya Reed." He repeated it once, like he was filing it away. "Close the curtains," he said. Velvet slid shut. The room became a box. Voss stood. Soup dripped onto the carpet. He stepped closer and spoke low, only for her. "Don't run." Maya swallowed. "I'm sorry." His gaze flicked past her shoulder. "Not yet." And that's when Maya noticed the busboy outside the glass room. Wrong shoes. Hard soles that clicked. Too fast. No tray. His right hand buried in his jacket. The guard nearest the curtain was watching the dining room, not the staff. The busboy's eyes locked on Voss. His hand came out. Metal flashed. A suppressed pistol, black and clean. Maya didn't think. She moved. She grabbed the edge of the table and shoved. Voss stumbled back, startled for the first time. The first shot hit Maya's left shoulder and turned her arm to fire. The second punched into her ribs and stole her breath. The third tore through her thigh and folded her legs. She fell into Voss, driving him down behind the table. The fourth ripped across her forearm as she threw it up on instinct. The fifth slammed into the heavy silver tray on the floor, sparking with a screaming whine that made the whole restaurant go silent. Then the room exploded. Guests screamed. Glass shattered. Voss's men drew guns. 2 shots answered the assassin. The busboy dropped hard, bleeding into white linen. Maya tasted copper. Her vision pulsed at the edges. She could feel Voss's hand at the back of her neck, steady and brutal. "Look at me," he said. "Stay with me." Maya tried. "My brother," she breathed. "His meds, please." Voss's jaw tightened. "Call Dr. Sato," he snapped. "Now. Armored car, now." A guard pressed gloved hands into Maya's wounds. Blood soaked through instantly. She's just staff, Grant choked out, like that explained why she should die. Voss turned his head slowly. The air went cold. No, he said. He crouched beside Maya, close enough that she smelled gunpowder under his cologne. He spoke loud enough for every phone camera to catch. Maya Reed is under my protection. His eyes lifted to his security chief. If she dies, find everyone who touched this plan. Sirens wailed outside. A man in a dark coat pushed through the curtain. Caleb's attorney, breathless, phone in hand. They're moving at dawn, he hissed. If you don't name an heir tonight, the board takes everything. Voss didn't look away from Maya. Then write it, he said. Emergency trust, full control. The attorney blinked. Sir? Her, Voss said, voice like a closing door. Make Maya Reed my heir. Tonight. Subscribe, because the next scene changes everything. The pen hit paper, while Maya's heartbeat stumbled. Maya woke up to a ceiling that wasn't hers and air that tasted like plastic. A heart monitor beeped in clean, steady ticks. The smell was antiseptic and money. Not the usual hospital smell. This was private wing money. Quiet carpet, frosted glass. A nurse who didn't look up unless someone important spoke. Pain arrived in layers, shoulder first, then ribs, then her leg like it had been replaced with a burning bar. She tried to move, and her body refused. Easy, a voice said. Male, low, calm. Maya turned her head, and the motion stabbed behind her eyes. Caleb Voss sat in the chair beside her bed like he'd been there the whole time. Same flat eyes, same controlled stillness. His shirt was different. His suit was gone. But his right shoulder was wrapped in a white bandage that had bled through at the edge. Not much. Enough to remind her he had been close. You're awake, he said. Maya swallowed. It hurt. My brother, she rasped. Where's... Alive, Voss said. One word. Surgical. In the same building, different floor, under my doctor's. Maya's throat tightened, relief and fear mixing into one ugly taste. Why? Because someone tried to kill me, Voss answered, and you became part of it. Maya blinked against the dizziness. I'm nobody. Voss leaned forward slightly. You took 5 bullets, he said, like he was reading a weather report. Nobody does that by accident. Maya's stomach rolled. She remembered the first shot like heat. The sound like snapping wood. The way her body had moved before her brain did. I didn't choose, she whispered. Voss's gaze didn't soften. Yes, you did, he said. You just didn't have time to be brave about it. The door opened without a knock. A man in a dark suit stepped in with a leather folder pressed tight to his chest. The same attorney from the restaurant. His tie was crooked now. His hands shook just enough to notice. He stopped when he saw Maya awake, as if that changed the math. Sir, he said to Voss, voice low, they're calling an emergency vote at 6. If you're not present, the board claims incapacity. Voss didn't look away from Maya. And if I am present, they'll still try, the attorney admitted. They'll say the trust was signed under duress. They'll drag her through court. He glanced at Maya like she was a complication with a pulse. They'll call her a gold digger, a plant, a liability. Maya's lips parted. What trust? The attorney opened the folder and slid out a single page, crisp, stamped, already notarized. Maya recognized her name before her brain could accept it. Evelyn Maya Reed. She felt her stomach drop like an elevator cable had snapped. No, she whispered. That's not real. Voss spoke like the decision had been made hours ago. It's real, he said. It's filed. My holdings, my voting rights, my private foundation, everything the law understands. Maya tried to push herself up, and pain dragged her back down. Why would you do that? Voss watched her like he expected the question. Because the people who ordered that gunman don't need me dead, he said. They need me silent, weak, declared unfit. Then they take what I built. Maya stared at the paper, unable to breathe right. So you make me What? A shield? A lock, Voss corrected. A legal lock. The attorney cleared his throat. Ms. Reed, he began, careful, for your protection, we need you to sign an acknowledgement. It doesn't bind you to anything. It binds her, Voss cut in, eyes flicking once to the attorney. The attorney stopped. Voss leaned in closer to Maya, and for the first time his voice dropped into something almost private. They'll come for you either way, he said. If you refuse, you're a loose witness. If you accept, you're the barrier between them and billions. Maya's vision blurred, not from tears, from exhaustion and meds. I didn't ask for this, she said. Voss nodded once, like he respected facts. Neither did I, he replied. The nurse came in with a tray. Water, pills, a syringe and a sealed wrapper. She moved too smoothly, too quiet. Her shoes were wrong for a hospital. Hard soles. The same sharp click Maya had heard outside the private room, back when she still thought staff meant safe. Maya's heart rate spiked. The monitor started shouting it in beeps. The nurse didn't look at the monitor. Her eyes went to the folder, to the trust, to Maya's hand. I need to administer pain medication, she said, voice flat. Voss's gaze lifted. Something in his face changed by a millimeter. Marcus Vale appeared in the doorway, like he'd been summoned by that millimeter. Hold, Marcus said. The nurse paused. I'm authorized. Marcus didn't argue. He simply took one step in, and the room filled with him. Name, he said. The nurse's jaw tightened. Nina. Marcus's eyes dropped to her badge, then to her wrist. A thin band. Not hospital issue. A private security tag. Maya felt her skin go cold. Voss's voice stayed calm, almost bored. Show me your hands, he said. The nurse's fingers tightened around the syringe wrapper. Then she moved. Fast. Not like a nurse. Like a person trained to get close. Marcus grabbed her wrist and twisted. The syringe clattered to the floor. The nurse's elbow drove toward his throat. Marcus leaned away and slammed her into the wall hard enough to rattle the IV pole. Alarms chirped. Footsteps pounded in the hall. The nurse's eyes went wild for a second, and Maya saw it. She wasn't here to help. She was here to finish. Voss stood, ignoring the pull of his own bandage, and watched the struggle with the calm of a man watching a door close. Not my hospital, he said softly. Marcus pinned the nurse, ripped the badge free, and a small blade fell from her sleeve, skittering across the tile. Maya's mouth went dry. Voss turned to the attorney. Call the board, he said. Tell them I'm awake. Tell them I'll be there. The attorney swallowed. Sir, your condition, my condition is irrelevant, Voss replied, but hers is not. He looked at Maya again. Do you understand now? Maya stared at the blade on the floor, the nurse's hard shoes, the way the attempt came quietly, wrapped in routine. There's a mole in your people, she whispered. Voss's eyes stayed on hers. Yes, he said, and they're not done. Maya forced air into her lungs. My brother, she said again, voice shaking. If they can get into your hospital. Voss nodded once. He's being moved, he said. Right now. Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face tightened. They hit the elevator bank, he said, low. Someone pulled the fire lock. Cameras looped. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. Voss didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Bring my car to the service entrance, he said, and get her dressed. Maya stared at him, panic rising. You're taking me where? Voss's eyes were flat again, colder than the IV drip. To the only place I can control, he said, and to the only meeting that matters at dawn. Maya's fingers closed around the trust page despite the tremor. Outside, sirens wailed again. Not close, not yet, but approaching like the city was leaning in. Maya realized something terrible and simple. The bullets hadn't ended the night. They'd only moved it to a cleaner room. They moved Maya like she was a classified file. No wheelchairs in public hallways. No elevators with strangers. Marcus Vale pushed her gurney through a service corridor that smelled like bleach and steam, while two men walked ahead, clearing corners like they expected the walls to shoot back. Maya clenched her teeth against the pane and watched the ceiling tiles slide past in jittery rectangles. The hospital was quiet, but it wasn't safe quiet. It was controlled quiet. That was worse. She caught flashes of security screens behind glass, a looping camera feed, a door labelled "Staff Only" that never opened, and the feeling that someone somewhere was watching her heartbeat like a countdown. Voss followed beside the gurney, one hand on the rail, eyes forward. He didn't talk. He didn't reassure. He looked like a man walking toward a boardroom while half his body bled. "Where are we going?" Maya forced out. Voss didn't slow. "Out," he said. Then up. That meant his tower, his airspace, his rules. Marcus's phone buzzed again. He read one line and his jaw tightened. "They've got men in scrubs near the oncology wing," Marcus murmured, low enough that only Voss heard. "Third floor stairwell, 2 of ours down, non-lethal, tasers." Maya's stomach dropped. "My brother is there." Voss finally looked at her. "Not anymore," he said. "He's moving now." The corridor ended at a steel door. Beyond it was a covered loading bay, lit by harsh fluorescence, rain hammering the asphalt outside. An ambulance sat idling, but it wasn't city issue. No municipal seal. Private. Matte black lettering. 2 armed men in medical jackets stood by the rear doors pretending not to be armed. Maya didn't like pretending anymore. Marcus leaned in close to her ear. "Don't speak to anyone but me or him," he said. "If someone says your name like they know you, don't answer." Maya's throat went tight. "Do they?" Marcus's eyes flicked to the far end of the bay where a maintenance worker swept water into a drain. The worker's shoes were wrong. Hard soles. Marcus didn't finish the thought. He just moved his body between Maya and the worker without making it obvious. The ambulance doors opened. Maya saw a second gurney inside. A thin figure under a blanket. Her brother's hair, dark against white sheets. Her vision blurred. "Eli," she whispered. The figure didn't move. The medic closest to the gurney lifted his head. His face was calm. Too calm. "She's the sister?" he asked. His voice had no hospital softness. It was clean. Voss's hand tightened on Maya's rail. "Move," Voss said, and the word wasn't for Maya. Marcus's pistol appeared, low and controlled, not pointed yet. The medic's eyes flicked to Marcus's gun and then back to Maya's face. And in that flick she understood. They weren't here to treat. They were here to verify, to see if Eli Reed was real leverage, to see if Maya Reed would break. A second later, the bay exploded into motion. A side door banged open and 2 men rushed in, wearing hoodies under janitor vests, hands inside pockets that held weight. One of Voss's guards stepped into their path and took a silent hit to the neck from a dart. He dropped like a switch flipped. Maya screamed and it came out as air because the pain stole the sound. Marcus fired once, not to kill, to stop. The bullet tore into the concrete at a man's feet, and the man stumbled back, shocked that someone would shoot in a hospital bay. That shock bought 2 seconds. Voss grabbed the medic by the collar and slammed him into the ambulance frame, hard enough to rattle the doors. "Who sent you?" Voss asked, voice flat. The medic spit blood and smiled. "You're bored," he wheezed. That word hit like a fist. Voss didn't react outwardly, but Maya saw it land. Bored. Not rivals, not street enemies, people in suits, people with votes. The medic's eyes slid toward Maya. "Sign the refusal," he rasped, and Maya felt the intent behind it like a blade. If she refused the inheritance, she became disposable. If she accepted it, she became a target. Voss released the medic and turned to Marcus. "Take him," Voss said. "Alive." Marcus nodded once, and 2 men dragged the medic out of Maya's sight, like garbage being removed. Voss leaned over Maya. "You're staying conscious," he said. "You're staying with me." Maya's lips trembled. "Eli." "He's coming," Voss said. "Now." They loaded both gurneys into the ambulance. Maya's pain spiked with every jolt, but she kept her eyes open because she could feel how close the night was to swallowing her. The ambulance pulled out into rain-slick Manhattan, no siren, moving like it didn't need permission. A black SUV shadowed them, tight. Maya stared at the ceiling inside the ambulance and listened to the medic on Voss's payroll breathe like a machine. Every stoplight felt like a trap. Every slowed moment felt bought. Voss sat on the bench seat across from her, watching her like he was keeping her alive with attention alone. "Why make me your heir?" Maya whispered again, because the question wouldn't die. Voss's eyes didn't move. "Because I need someone the board can't intimidate with a headline," he said, "and someone the law can't ignore." Maya let out a harsh breath. "I'm a waitress." "You were," Voss corrected. "Now you're a signature." The ambulance turned into an underground ramp that didn't look like a ramp until you were on it. A private entrance, cameras, steel gates sliding open. Voss Tower swallowed them. The air changed. Cooler, filtered, expensive. They moved into a service elevator and rose fast, the pressure popping in Maya's ears. Eli's gurney rolled beside hers, his hand pale against the blanket. Maya reached toward him, fingers shaking, and the medic caught her wrist gently. "Don't pull the IV, he warned. Maya hated how reasonable that sounded in a night that wasn't. The elevator opened onto a floor that was too quiet to be real. Soft carpet, glass walls, no artwork, just security. Men who didn't pretend. A conference room door stood open, lights on, a table set with documents like a courtroom had moved into a penthouse. The attorney was there, pale, sweating. Two more lawyers Maya had never seen. And on the wall, a bank of screens showing live feeds from the hospital, the restaurant, the street outside Voss Tower. Voss walked straight to the table and slapped a folder down. "Read her the conditions," he said. Maya pushed herself up as far as pain allowed and stared at the papers like they might bite. The attorney cleared his throat. "Ms. Reed," he began, "the trust isn't a gift, it's a mechanism." He slid one page forward. "If you accept, you gain immediate voting control of the Voss holding companies. But there's a poison pill clause." Maya's stomach tightened. "Poison pill?" The attorney nodded once. "If you die under suspicious circumstances within 90 days, all controlling shares transfer into a blind public foundation with federal oversight." Maya blinked. "Meaning?" Voss answered himself, voice cold. "Meaning they can't kill you to take it," he said, "because if they kill you, nobody gets it." The room went silent. Maya felt the shape of the trap. It wasn't sentimental. It was brutal. It made her valuable alive and useless dead. "So I'm insurance," Maya whispered. Voss didn't deny it. "You're leverage," he said, "and you're the only leverage they didn't plan for." Maya's chest tightened as she looked at Eli's gurney in the corner, guarded by two men with guns. "They'll come for him," she said, "because he's softer than me." Voss's eyes flicked once to Eli, then back. "Then you learn fast," he said, "because at 6 a.m. they'll try to declare me unfit. They'll try to call you coerced, and they'll try to separate you from that signature." Marcus stepped closer to the screens and rewound a clip from the loading bay. He froze it on the medic's wrist as Voss slammed him into the ambulance frame. A thin black band, a small silver emblem. Marcus zoomed in. The emblem was a stylized V inside a circle. Corporate, not medical, not street. Maya's skin went cold all over again. "That's not a gang mark," she whispered. "That's a company mark." Voss's voice was almost quiet. "Yes," he said, "and it's mine." Maya stared at the emblem until her vision steadied around it, and for the first time she understood the scale of what had grabbed her. The enemy wasn't outside Voss Tower trying to break in. The enemy already had keys. The clock on the conference room wall didn't tick. It glowed. 5:18 a.m., cold white numbers. No mercy. Outside the glass, Manhattan was still dark, rain dragging thin lines down the windows like scratches. Inside, Everything was too clean. Lawyers in pressed suits, security in matte black, a tray of untouched coffee that smelled rich and wrong. Maya lay on a narrow couch pushed against the wall, blankets tucked around her like she was being packaged for transport. Her shoulder throbbed with every breath. Her ribs screamed when she tried to talk. But she stayed awake because she understood the rules now. If she faded, someone else would write her story for her. Voss stood at the head of the table with his injured shoulder taped tight, one hand braced on the polished wood like the pain was just friction. He watched the bank of screens, hospital feeds, lobby feeds, street feeds. The city looked normal from above. That was the lie that got people killed. "They'll try to isolate you first," Marcus said, voice low. "Separate you from Eli. Separate you from the documents. Then they'll call it a misunderstanding." Maya swallowed hard. "And if I refuse to be separated?" Marcus's eyes flicked to her. "Then it becomes a war," he said. Voss didn't turn. "It's already a war," he said, flat. The attorney slid another page toward Maya, careful not to touch her. "Ms. Reed," he began, "we need a recorded acceptance. Clear mind, voluntary, no pressure." Maya laughed once, and it came out as pain. "No pressure," she repeated, and stared at the cameras in the corners of the room. Voss stepped closer, eyes on her. "Do it," he said. "Now." Maya forced herself upright a few inches. Her vision pulsed at the edges. She looked into the lawyer's phone camera as it recorded. "My name is Maya Reed," she said, voice rough. "I accept the Voss Emergency Trust of my own free will." Free will tasted like a joke, but she said it anyway. "No one is forcing me." She paused, then added the truth that mattered. "People have tried to kill me twice in 12 hours. I'm accepting because refusing would end my life and my brother's life." The attorney flinched. Voss didn't. "Good," Voss said. "That's real." Maya's phone buzzed in her lap. A new device Marcus had shoved into her hand 10 minutes ago. No personal photos, no friends. Just a secure line and one contact labeled MV. Maya stared at the screen. Unknown number. One message, 2 words. Sign off. Her blood turned cold. Someone knew she'd recorded the acceptance. Someone wanted the opposite. Maya looked up. "They're inside," she whispered. Voss's eyes narrowed. Marcus leaned over and checked the device, jaw tightening. "That's an internal relay," Marcus said. "Tower network." Maya's heart monitor beeped faster, tattling. "So the board has people here," she said. "In your building." Voss's voice stayed calm, almost bored. "Yes," he said. "And they think I'm still the only target." A soft knock hit the conference room door. 2 taps, polite, the kind that pretends consent exists. Marcus stepped forward and opened it a crack. A man in a grey suit stood there holding a clipboard, badge on his lapel. Corporate, not security, not law. The kind of person who could ruin you with a meeting invite. "Mr. Voss," the man said gently, "I'm Dr. Holden, company physician. The board requested a wellness check, procedure only." His shoes were polished to a mirror, hard soles. Maya's stomach clenched. The click of those soles was the same sound she'd heard in the restaurant corridor, the same sound in the hospital wing. Marcus didn't move aside. "He's stable," Marcus said. Dr. Holden smiled, patient. "I need to see him. And the beneficiary," he said, eyes sliding to Maya like she was a file. Maya felt the room tighten. Voss stepped forward, expression empty. "The board doesn't request anything," Voss said. "The board obeys the bylaws." Dr. Holden's smile thinned. "Then this will be quick," he said, lifting the clipboard. "Just signatures, confirmations." Maya saw it in the angle of his wrist, the micro-adjustment under his cuff. Something stiff, a hidden injector. Not medication. A quiet way to make a man unfit. Voss saw it too. He didn't flinch. "Marcus," he said softly. "Lock the floor." Marcus touched his earpiece once. The elevator indicator on the wall went red. The air pressure seemed to change. Dr. Holden's eyes sharpened. "You can't," Voss cut him off. "I can," he said, "and I am." Dr. Holden's voice stayed smooth, but the patience cracked at the edge. "This isn't necessary," he said. "You're injured. You're emotional. The board is trying to protect the company. The company is trying to kill me," Voss replied. He nodded once. Marcus grabbed Dr. Holden's wrist and twisted. The injector dropped and clattered across the carpet. Clean, silent, deadly. Dr. Holden's mask fell for half a second. "You're making a mistake," he hissed. Maya's pulse hammered. "No," she said, voice shaking. "You did." Dr. Holden's eyes snapped to her. "You think you're untouchable because of a piece of paper?" he spat. "You're a waitress with holes in her body." Maya forced air into her lungs and felt her ribs burn. "And you're a doctor with a needle," she said. "Which one looks worse on camera?" Marcus dragged Dr. Holden out of the room. The door shut. The silence after was heavier than shouting. Voss turned to the screens again. "They'll move faster now," he said, "because they lost the quiet option." Maya's phone buzzed again. A live feed popped up. Security camera from a hallway she recognized instantly. Oncology wing. St. Mercy's. Someone had accessed the feed through Voss Tower's network, like the hospital was just another asset. The camera showed Eli's old room door. Empty. Then a shadow crossed the frame. A hand taped a note to the door. The camera zoomed in automatically, like someone wanted her to read it. 3 words. "We still can." Maya's throat closed. "They can reach him," she whispered. Marcus shook his head. "He's here," he said. "Safe room." But his voice was tighter now. Too tight. Maya looked toward the side door where Eli had been moved. 2 armed men stood there. Calm. Too calm. One of them had the same stylized V emblem on his wristband as the fake medic. Corporate Mark. Maya's skin went ice cold. "Marcus," she whispered. "Your guard. Wristband." Marcus followed her gaze and his face hardened. He didn't reach for his gun. He reached for his phone and hit one button. A tone sounded, high and sharp. A lockdown alarm you couldn't hear from the outside. The guard's eyes flicked, reacting before he could hide it. Instinct, training, wrong side. Marcus moved like a blade. 1 step, gun up. "Hands," Marcus said. The guard laughed once, like this was overdue. "You're protecting a waitress," he said, and his hand dove inside his jacket. The corridor exploded. A suppressed shot thumped into the wall inches from Maya's head, punching drywall dust into her hair. Marcus fired back, controlled, 2 rounds, dropping the guard hard. The second guard lunged toward the side door, toward Eli, and Maya felt her body move before her mind did. She screamed, "No!" and threw her phone across the hall. It hit the guard's face, useless as a weapon, perfect as a distraction. The guard flinched. That flinch bought Marcus a second. Marcus tackled him, slammed him into the doorframe, and pinned him with his knee like he was nailing down a secret. Maya's chest heaved. Pain ripped through her ribs. Voss didn't look surprised. He looked confirmed. "That's your mole," Maya gasped, staring at the V wristband now smeared with blood. "Not a rival family," she forced out. "Your corporate security." Voss nodded once. "Yes," he said. "They didn't hire killers. They hired employees." Marcus cuffed the second guard and dragged him away, breathing hard. "We have minutes," Marcus said. "Board meeting in 40. The attorney stepped forward, voice trembling. "We need to get you both downstairs. Cameras will be everywhere." Maya stared at the trust document still folded in her blanket, her name stamped like a verdict. She realized something sharp and simple. They didn't need her to be dead. They needed her to sign away control. They needed her scared enough to quit. Maya looked at Voss. "Give me access," she said. Voss's brows moved a fraction. "To what?" Maya swallowed pain and kept going. "To your accounts, voting proxies, whatever they're trying to steal," she said. "Because if I'm the lock, I need the keys." Voss held her gaze for one long beat, measuring. Then he reached into his pocket and placed a black card in her hand. Heavy. Cold. "Welcome to the part where you stop being a victim," he said. Maya curled her fingers around the card, and even through the meds she felt it. The city didn't care about her blood. But the paperwork did. The hallway outside went quiet again. The kind of quiet that meant people were repositioning. Voss leaned down close to her and spoke low, only for her. "At the boardroom doors," he said, "they'll smile. They'll offer help. They'll call you brave. And they'll try to take your signature." Maya's eyes stayed on the black card. "Then they won't get it," she whispered. Voss straightened. "Good," he said, "because at 6 a.m., you walk in as my heir." 6 a.m. looked like a number that could end a life. The boardroom sat high above Manhattan, glass walls fogged with rain. A long table polished so perfectly it reflected faces like a second, quieter truth. Maya rolled in on a discreet chair they'd dressed up as mobility assistants, so the cameras wouldn't call it weakness. Her shoulder burned. Her ribs felt like broken glass. Her thigh throbbed with each small movement. But she kept her chin level because she understood the real fight wasn't physical anymore. It was legal. It was optics. It was who controlled the narrative long enough to sign the next page. Caleb Voss walked beside her in a dark suit that hid his bandage, his expression set in that flat calm that made powerful men uneasy. Marcus Vale moved ahead, opening doors, scanning corners. The attorneys followed, clutching binders like shields, and as the doors swung open, the room turned toward them with smiles that didn't reach eyes. 12 people around the table. Some old, some young, all expensive, all certain they owned the morning. A man at the far end rose first. Chairman Alden Knox, silver hair, soft voice. The kind of person who could ruin you with a polite paragraph. "Caleb," he said warmly, "thank God you're here. We were all so worried." His eyes slid to Maya. "And you must be Ms. Reed. We're grateful you helped. Like she'd held a door, not caught bullets. Maya felt her jaw tighten. Voss's gaze didn't move. "Start," Voss said. Knox spread his hands as if offering reason. "Of course," he said. "This is simply procedure. After a traumatic event, fiduciary duty requires us to confirm executive capacity and ensure the company remains stable." He nodded to the legal counsel at his right. "We have documents prepared." A folder slid down the table like it had been waiting all night. Maya's phone buzzed once in her lap. Marcus had told her not to look. She looked anyway. One line. "They'll try to separate you." She swallowed and kept her eyes forward. Knox continued, gentle. "Caleb, we need you to sign a temporary delegation of voting rights while you recover. 30 days. Purely symbolic." Symbolic. Maya recognized that word now. Symbolic meant permanent. Voss didn't sit. He stood at the head of the table, hands light on the chair back. "No," he said. Knox's smile held, but a thin edge appeared. "Caleb," he said, "this is for your own protection. The market—" "I don't need protection," Voss replied. "I need a board that isn't attempting murder through corporate policy." The room stiffened. A woman on the left, CFO, sharp eyes, laughed lightly like he'd made a dark joke. "That's an outrageous accusation," she said. Knox's voice stayed calm. "Emotions are high," he said. "No one here would ever—" Maya raised her hand. It shook. Pain made her vision pulse. But she raised it anyway. Every head turned to her like she was a strange noise. Knox offered her a smile meant to infantilize. "Ms. Reed," he said softly, "I'm sure you're exhausted. We appreciate your bravery, but this is a corporate meeting." Maya's mouth went dry. She heard Voss's earlier warning. "They'll call you brave. Then they'll try to take your signature." She set her black access card on the table, hard enough to click. The sound cut through the room. "This is my meeting," Maya said, voice rough but clear. Knox's smile froze for half a beat. "I'm sorry?" Maya looked down the table and made herself meet each pair of eyes, one by one. "My name is Maya Reed," she said. "As of 1:43 a.m., I hold controlling voting rights in Voss Holdings under the emergency trust filed last night." She paused. "So if you want stability, you should start by addressing me correctly." Silence hit like a ceiling lowering. The general counsel cleared his throat. "Ms. Reed, with respect, there are serious concerns about the validity of—" "The validity is recorded," Voss said, "and notarized." Knox leaned forward, the warmth thinning. "Caleb, you can't possibly believe handing your empire to a waitress is wise," he said, and the contempt finally showed. Maya felt it like a slap, but she didn't flinch. She reached into the folder on her lap and pulled out a single printed frame capture. Zoomed in, clear. A V in a circle emblem on a wristband. "Company physician," Maya said, pushing the image across the table. "Attempted to inject Mr. Voss this morning with an unlogged syringe." She slid the next image. "Corporate security," she said. "Two men on the executive floor, both wearing this internal band." She slid a third. "Fake medic in private ambulance," she continued. "Same band, same emblem." Knox's eyes stayed calm, but his jaw tightened. The CFO's gaze flicked to Knox for a fraction too long. Maya saw it. Micro tell. A question. "Are we exposed?" Maya forced her breathing steady. "Those are your people," Maya said, voice low. "Not rivals, not street criminals. Employees?" Knox's smile returned, tighter now. "That proves nothing," he said. "If anything, it proves Mr. Voss has lost control of his security apparatus, which strengthens our argument for temporary delegation." Maya nodded once, as if he'd made her point for her. "Exactly," she said. "So I'm going to clean it." Knox's eyes narrowed. "You don't have the expertise." "I have the authority," Maya cut in. She placed her phone on the table and tapped once. The wall screen behind Knox flickered. Then a live dashboard filled the glass wall. Voss Holdings' internal treasury movements. Marcus had given her access. Voss had given her keys. Maya's fingers shook, but she didn't miss. At 2:12 a.m., Maya said, someone initiated a layered transfer from the foundation accounts into a Cayman vehicle through 3 intermediaries. She highlighted the chain. "It failed," she added, "because the emergency trust locked the treasury actions behind my biometric approval." The CFO's face went pale. A man on the right, legal committee, shifted in his seat like the chair suddenly hurt. Knox's voice stayed smooth. "Those are routine liquidity actions," he said. Maya looked at him. "Then approve them on record," she said. "Explain them to the SEC. Explain why the same internal emblem appears on the wrist of the person who tried to sedate Mr. Voss." Knox's smile finally cracked at the edge. "Careful," he warned softly. Maya leaned forward as far as her ribs allowed, pain slicing through her, but she stayed in it. "No," she said. "You be careful." She tapped again. A second file opened. Audio, time-stamped, from the loading bay. The fake medic's voice filled the room, thin and clear. "You're bored." The words hung in the air. For the first time, the board looked like human beings confronted with consequences. Knox's eyes flicked to the general counsel. The general counsel didn't look back. The CFO swallowed. Someone's pen dropped and clattered too loudly. Voss finally sat, slow, controlled, as if he could afford to now. He didn't speak. He let Maya do it. Maya's phone buzzed again. An incoming call. Unknown. She ignored it. Knox regained his voice, quieter, sharper. "Ms. Reed," he said, "if you proceed with these accusations, you will collapse investor confidence. You'll destroy the company you think you've inherited." Maya stared at him and felt something settle inside her that wasn't fear anymore. It was clarity. "Then you should have thought of investor confidence before you hired people to kill your CEO," she said. Knox's eyes hardened. "You think you can run this?" he asked. "With bullets still in your body?" Maya's lips parted, and for a second she almost laughed. I don't need to run it alone, she said. I need to stop you from stealing it. She turned her phone so the board could see one last clause on the trust. The poison pill clause. The one that made murder useless. This trust wasn't written to reward me, Maya said. It was written to trap you. Knox's face went still. What did you do? He asked, voice low. Maya tapped one final button. A notification popped up across the screen. Treasury lockdown initiated. Asset freeze. Internal badge group. V-circle. The room erupted into overlapping voices. You can't. That's illegal. We'll sue. Maya raised her hand again. You can sue, she said. But you can't move $1 without my approval now. And I've already sent an encrypted evidence packet to federal counsel under the trust's automatic compliance clause. She let the words land. If anything happens to me, she added, the packet releases to regulators and the controlling shares transfer into a federally overseen foundation. Silence returned, heavier. Knox sat back slowly, realizing the shape of the cage. He couldn't kill her. He couldn't buy her. He couldn't scare her into quitting, because quitting would still leave a trail. For the first time, the richest room in New York looked trapped by a waitress with a signature. Voss finally spoke, voice quiet, almost tired. This is what you wanted, he said to Knox. A stable company. He looked at Maya. Give it to them. Maya's throat tightened. How? Voss's eyes stayed on hers. You offer them a deal they can't refuse, he said. Maya understood. Not violence, leverage. She turned back to the table. Resignations, she said. Today. Voluntary. Quiet. Knox's jaw clenched. And if we don't? Maya's voice stayed steady. Then the evidence packet goes public, she said. And every one of you spends the next decade explaining why my blood was cheaper than your stock price. One by one, they broke. Not dramatically. Just with small motions. Hands reaching for pens, eyes avoiding the cameras, signatures appearing on paper like surrender. Knox held out longest, face pale and furious, then finally signed with a slow, careful stroke like he was carving a promise. When it was done, Maya's body sagged inside her pain, but she didn't let it show. She pushed her chair back and stood with help from Marcus, refusing to look weak in the moment it mattered. The meeting ended without applause. Voss Tower stayed quiet, rain still sliding down glass. In the corridor outside, Voss walked beside her again. You shouldn't be standing, he said. Maya's voice was low. You shouldn't have made me your heir, she replied. Voss's eyes flicked to her, and for the first time there was something almost human behind the control. I didn't make you my heir because you saved my life, he said. I made you my heir because you did it without asking what it was worth. Maya swallowed. And what is it worth? Voss stopped at a window overlooking the city, dawn turning the skyline grey gold. Everything, he said. Then he leaned closer, voice dropping to a private register. They won't stop, he added. Not today. Not tomorrow. Maya looked out at the city and felt the weight of it settle on her shoulders like a coat she hadn't chosen. Then neither will I, she said. Her phone buzzed once more. A final message, unknown number. 2 words, checkmate, Heir. Maya stared at it until the screen dimmed, then pocketed the phone with a hand that still shook. Outside, New York woke up like nothing had happened. But in the highest glass room, a waitress with 5 bullet scars had just inherited an empire and forced the people who built it to kneel without ever touching a gun.